if you mess with us, we're simply going to destroy you. The goal was, we're going to attack Gaza to restore our deterrence capacity. But there's an obvious problem. It was perfectly obvious to everyone that Hamas was not a formidable military power. It wasn't any military power. So inflicting a military defeat on Gaza is not going to restore the Arab world's fear of Israel, because Gaza, Hamas, wasn't a military power to begin with. So how do you restore deterrence capacity against an unarmed civilian population? And the answer is simple. You inflict, you wreak enough death and destruction, murder and mayhem, that you convey to the Arab world that you're crazy, and that if you mess with us, regardless of what world opinion might say, regardless of what public opinion might feel, you mess with us and we're simply going to destroy you. And that was Israel's goal. They even had a name for it, the Dahya strategy. In September 2008, Israel's Minister of Interior said, if the Palestinians launch a rocket attack, the Israeli army will decide on a neighborhood in Gaza and level it. And that's exactly what they proceeded to do. As the Gaza massacre unfolded, the Israelis were remarkably candid about what they were doing. A reserve major general said, what we have to do is act systematically with the aim of punishing all the organizations that are firing the rockets and mortars, as well as the civilians who are enabling them to fire and hide. And it was a remarkable success. One wouldn't want to deny Israel its victories. In the case of Lebanon in 2006, it killed a mere 55 Lebanese in 2 days. But in the case of Gaza, on day 1, in 4 minutes, day 1, in 4 minutes, it killed at least 225 Gazans. An Israeli strategic analyst, a few days into the massacre, he said, the Israeli army, which planned to attack buildings and sites populated by hundreds of people, did not warn them in advance to leave, but intended to kill a great many of them, and succeeded. Not all Israelis were so impressed by what Israel did. One Israeli columnist, he wrote, I don't think it's particularly impressive to send helicopter gunships and jet planes over a giant prison and firing at its people. Who were these people that Israel killed on the first day? Well, among them, according to Israel's the main journalist covering the occupied territories for Israel's most respected paper, Haaretz, the journalist is named Gideon Levy, and he described some of those victims on the first day of that impressive victory. He said, 70 traffic cops at their graduation ceremony, young men in desperate search of a livelihood who thought they'd found it in the police and instead found death from the skies. Was it an accident, the fog of war, a mistake, a miscalculation, an error? No, the Israelis were very straightforward. Afterwards, they wrote that the Israeli army deliberated for several months. Should we bomb that graduation ceremony? Should we annihilate those traffic cops at their graduation? They deliberated, debated, the Israelis, they anguished, they were pained, their souls were tormented, and they said, fire away, which is what they did. As Israel targeted mosques, schools, hospitals, ambulances, UN sanctuaries, as it flattened entire neighborhoods, as it slaughtered and incinerated Gaza's defenseless civilian population, Israeli commentators gloated. They said, quote, Gaza is to Lebanon as the second sitting for an exam is to the first, a second chance to get it right. And this time around, Israel has hurled back Gaza not a mere 20 years like it did to the Lebanese. It hurled them back 60 years into the 1940s. Electricity is available only for a few hours a day. A second said, Israel has regained its deterrence capacity because the war in Gaza has compensated for the shortcomings of the 2006 Lebanon war. Notice, there isn't even a pretense that what happened in Gaza had anything to do with the rocket attacks. It had everything to do with restoring the Arab world's fear of Israel by massacring the civilian population. A third said, there is no doubt that Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah is upset these days. There will no longer be anyone in the Arab world who can claim that Israel is weak. And it's true. Who can now claim that Israel is weak? Who can doubt that it is strong and courageous, heroic and brave? It caged in behind barbed wire fences and concrete walls a teeming refugee population. About 80% of the people in Gaza are refugees from Israel or the sons and daughters, grandsons and granddaughters of refugees. About half of the population in Gaza is under 16 years of age. It deprived this captive population of food, medicine, electricity, water, and other basic necessities, reducing the population to abject despair. It then sent in its jet planes, its helicopter gunships, its tanks, and its armored personnel carriers. It sprayed entire civilian neighborhoods with white phosphorus.